Hello, welcome to Calls with your Kinky Bestie. I'm Emma. I am a submissive and mentor for fellow kinksters. This podcast is all about insights into kinky life and dating, sharing my personal experience and stories, and help share mindset shifts too to get you into a confident space, more confident than you are now. So get ready. It all starts now. Hello. I got a different kind of episode for you today. This is going to be a living resource episode that I point to a lot now to answer some frequently asked questions that I get all the freaking time asking about kink mentorship. So, what is this thing? How do I know if this is right for me? And then also, of course, I'm going to be talking about what kink mentorship with me is like and how to do it and all the questions that I get asked around that too. So diving right in, what really is kink mentorship? So this is different to different people. In the context that I'm talking about kink mentorship, it is like a non-sexual relationship, like a mentee-mentor relationship, where I'm someone who is a peer mentor. So I'm someone who's like in the similar kink boat to you, but I'm a bit further along in my journey and I'm supporting you in that way. I've just, someone who knows what you're going through, knows, the topics that you're talking about and is here and supportive and has the space to give to you. So there's a few different reasons that people can seek this out, or that, it can just be beneficial for you. But, it ultimately does depend on your situation. So what happens with a lot of kinksters is because this is such a niche topic, it can be hard to find community around. Or maybe you do find community around it, but the community that you're finding is, like people you do want to have sexual relationships with. So it can be hard to then find like that platonic support. Also, it can be hard to find sometimes kinksters who like have their shit together a bit. Like it tends to be I love my kinky people. They tend to be shit shows a little bit sometimes. And that's cool too. We love that. But sometimes they're not able to hold the space for you whenever you are seeking support as a kinky person. So yeah, that depends more on your own support system and what kind of, what you're going through that you want support with. So on the flip side of that, maybe you do have a strong support system who is like really okay with whatever it is that you're doing, but because they are not active kinksters themselves, they probably lack a lot of the awareness around what's actually, what kink is and what's going on. And maybe you find most of your time seeking support from them is actually just you having to like explain what kink is, which, it's not, a diss on your friend or anything like that. It's just can be really, it's not always a realistic expectation to ask someone who doesn't actually know this like niche topic to learn about it really quickly and then be able to provide perspective for you. Like maybe they are able to quickly provide perspective, but it's just different than the type of perspective you get from someone who is already like from the get-go on that same page with you about what's going on. So yeah, a few different reasons. If you just need like positive examples of kink and positive kink relationships to have, you want that energy in your life, that is a great thing Kink Mentorship can do for you. So the other thing is because these topics are so niche and so niche, there are only so many people online who are talking about them. Like, don't get me wrong, there's still a ton of kink educators out there, and that's so fucking awesome. But however, like, if you look at the topic of, kink education versus something like health coaching, for example, like, it's just two totally different banks of information and resources that you have to choose from. So it can be hard to find, like, the topic that you're actually seeking support on. And one thing that I'm working on through this, through Kinky Bestie, through this podcast and through my social media and all of the things, is to create that content that people can refer back to whenever they need it. But it takes time. And also, the specific thing you might want to hear about, I might not be able to post about it until next month. Or maybe I posted about it 3 months ago. So it's going to be sometimes hard to track that down because, search engines aren't always optimized to, usually they're optimized to actually like hide a lot of the not safe for work topics that you're seeking support with. So, and that's, something that I run into too, is just struggling to find reach. Because again, yeah, Google wants to hide you, social media platforms want to hide you. So if this is a thing that you're a community in, oh my gosh, please share helpful resources that you find with the kinky people who need it. Doesn't necessarily have to be me. I would be honored if you shared me as a resource, but also just as you find good kink resources, share them with your community because they can be hard to find on their own. So, I kind of went on a little tailspin there, but essentially, like, it can be hard to find the niche kink topic that you need support on. Like, it can just be hard to find. So what's helpful with mentorship is that you're able to get it a little bit more on demand. So if you have someone in your corner who you can turn to who is experienced and aware, who just, you see as a supportive and, mentory figure, it's so helpful to just be able to call them up, schedule a call, show up whenever you need them and need to talk about this specific thing. So you get your topic on demand, whatever that is. The other thing is that when you are working with someone one-on-one in this mentorship context, everything is personalized to you. So it's not, so even let's say you do have a niche topic, but you are able to find online resources to support you. Okay, awesome. There's still generic resources. So it's going to be hard to always bring that back to exactly your situation. And some people are really good at that, like being able to find anything online and reflect it back to their own situation. But that's just not always, how everyone's brain works. Or maybe your brain is able to do that, but you're just wanting personalized support. Or maybe you're just someone who really values one-on-one connection and spending, that direct time with somebody. And so, or maybe it just, you need to hear it from someone one-on-one, or you need to hear it from someone talking directly at you to like really get that, make that connection and also, want to act on it. So if you are more of that researcher type who is, great at tracking down whatever it is you need to find, just, follow my content online instead. I'm constantly going to be posting on my podcast and my Instagram and stuff. I have pretty consistently for the past year. I'm growing consistency as my business grows, but yes, I would just plug myself as a little resource of, looking for that as your lovely research people. So the other thing with mentorship is it's a bit of an accountability piece. So if you have kinky goals in your life, it's, not, or if you're just interested in self-development in this area, that can be pretty hard to find externally. And if you, usually, especially if you're submissive, and that's why you're listening to this podcast, you're probably desiring that accountability and support come from someone in like a little bit of a power dynamic place. And that's what you're motivated by. You're not necessarily always motivated by, yourself and your own, your own desire. So if you are someone who, like a sub wants and is always looking for just support and more of that like hand-holdy way, it can be really hard to get that if you are a kinky person and you are not in a power dynamic relationship right now, or if you're not in a power dynamic relationship where that person is, your dom is like, we're actively working together on your development in your kink area. Because that can be really time consuming too. And we love our doms, we respect our doms, and also like it's not necessarily their job to push us in all the ways that we want to be pushed, and champion our growth in all areas of your life. Like that's more fantasy kink and not like real life. So you want to also take it a little easy on your dommy partners because I'm kind of in the Barbie era right now. So what's that Billie Eilish song in the movie? Like, oh, I'm upset, but don't ask my boyfriend. That's not his job. There are certain things that our partners are there to do and can certainly do for us sometimes, but it's not always, realistic or a fair relationship expectation to have them, interested in your kink self-development in every single area. So, yeah, or maybe, you also just maybe you do get a lot of amazing support from your partner directly, but sometimes you just want that outside perspective outside of the relationship. So there are so many ways that this can be really useful to somebody, and just ways that it would be impactful. But it does depend on your circumstance and, your personality and just other things going on for you. So I offer paid mentorship where you get to, just pay for my time, book a call with me, and I show up with you and we do the freaking thing. But this is not a new concept. Like, you can absolutely find mentorship in your own community too, and outside of a paid context. I will say though that if you are, I'm trying to think of a better term, but I don't know if I can. But if you're looking for like free mentorship in your own community, like just a kinkster that you know who you're asking to mentor you, you do need to be a bit more self-guided with it. And so it's absolutely possible to find someone, ask them to support you in this way, and you guys come up with terms around how that would be. But as the mentee, that would be then on you a little bit to be following up with your mentor, sharing your success and actually applying what you're learning from them, because especially if you're working with a mentor for free, they're probably not going to want to help you if every time that they suggest something to you, you're just not doing it. And then coming back and asking for more support that could have just been solved if you had like done the thing the first time that they asked for. So, or that they suggest, whatever. Anyways, you see what I'm saying. So it depends on your personality. Like, absolutely, it might be a better fit for you to find a different, more of that free mentor thing in your life. Probably expect less of a time commitment because, again, people live their lives and stuff like that. It would really depend on who you would find. And there's also different kink mentors out there. They might not necessarily call themselves kink mentors. A lot of people call themselves kink coaches. That's another search term to find. But yeah, if I'm not your vibe, go find someone that is your vibe, because this support can really be life-changing. So, okay, there's all that lovely stuff about kind of what kink coaching is and why this can be helpful to you. Now I'm going to talk about, what it's actually like to set up a mentorship with me. So the way that I run things is a little different than what is traditional of other coaches or other coaching industries. So I do not offer my coaching packages to anyone that I have not first had one call with, because you're working one-on-one with me. Like, there's no one else in this. It's just me. So we have to be a strong fit for it to be enjoyable and like positive from both of us, right? So I require anyone who's wanting to enter like a longer term mentorship with me to first have a call. Like, that's just how it is. Maybe I would change that in the future, but right now that's how I run things and what's working well for me. Now, where that's not always, that's not super uncommon in the coaching industry, but what is that I require payment for my first call, which is not so standard in the coaching industry. So typically, if you've never worked with a coach before, they usually would require a first call with them as like a discovery call. So a lot of coaches would offer, your first call for free, just showing up and chatting. But the thing with that, well, there's a few things with that. One of the first things that comes up is that, hello, I am in the kink industry. I get spammed all day 24/7 with people fishing for, advice, but really they're just wanting some sort of sexual thing from me. So if I offered free calls, like, oh my gosh, my life would just be ruined with, guys just showing up trying to think that they can, have a live show for me or something. I don't know, or trying to manipulate me in that way. So that's not cool. We don't like that. And another reason why I don't offer the free call, which the reason why coaches do that is they do that so that they can then sell you on their coaching services. So typically, a few coaches will just make your first call like just a first call where you just get to talk and do the thing, and whatever, if you want to keep working together, they'll certainly let you. But usually it's a sales pitch. They're trying to convert you into their thing, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's not how I want to be spending my time. Like, I would rather spend my time that I'm working without compensation in my business to create free content that everyone can use and benefit from. So, posting on my podcast, on social media, on my blog, like all that kind of stuff, just creating tools that everyone can use rather than like my hours just wasted selling something to you that, you're not interested in. So that's another reason too. I even have a couple more. Okay, I guess I'll talk about them. So the other thing is that I am known to why am I saying kind of? I am known to derive results in people very quickly. So I'm a very powerful energy to be in. I'm very inspiring, and, I can get people results really quickly. I can change people's mindsets really quickly so that they're behaving in different ways. It just happens very, very fast. So it doesn't always make sense, depending on who my mentee is, to have a long-term coaching plan. Like, sometimes they just really need like that first call to change things for them, and then maybe check-in calls every few months as things kind of fall out of balance and they're needing to reset. But you might not need ongoing every week to have a little call with me, depending on where how your personality is, how you're responding to my energy, and just where you are in your life and all that kind of stuff. So I want to support that. People who are looking for a one-off call, like, I'm not going to dissuade that. I absolutely am here for that and want to support you in that way. So that is another reason why I just offer that right off the bat, and it's not a sales pitch. The other thing, because sometimes I get criticized for my pricing, which is wild. I'm not going to change it. I mean, I might raise it in the future, but but right now, so my coaching, and this might be dated depending on when you're listening to it, but at the time of me posting this podcast, I charge $150 for a first 1 hour mentorship call with me. So first things first, that is pretty dang standard for the coaching industry, if not even on the lower end. But again, most coaches will give you that free call to start and then sell you on their higher end coaching that is maybe like $200, $300 an hour and upwards even. So I do the reverse, where my first call is the most expensive call you'll have with me at that $150. And then once we have a thing going and you're wanting to have more of that ongoing support, the packages I offer just bring my price down, depending on over the course of time that you want to be working with me. And again, that might change, but right now that's how things are, for a few different logistical reasons. But another thing with that pricing is that if I were to price, especially that first call, lower, it's a bit of a perceived value thing. So let's say my calls were just $30 and you would show up to that first call. We're talking about some vulnerable things. It can be hard to open up about. So if you were putting down an amount of money that was kind of like, whatever, I could, have easily just spent this on my lunch, so it doesn't really, matter to me what I get out of this because, it's just $30 or whatever that amount would be for you. You probably would be willing to just show up, kind of dick around the subject and not really ever get to the meat of what's going on. Or maybe, you're only willing to get to the meat of what's going on after a few sessions with me. We're able to build that trust. But if you're putting down a pretty, perceived to be high investment for an hour of someone's time, you're going to show up really wanting to talk about what's actually going on for you and willing to do that. And that's what I found with my sessions, having that first one at that rate. So that is another reason why I do that. And then another thing is just that paying for my coaching, I view it as you're supplementing the free content that I create. So obviously the more of this coaching that I have, the more I'm able to make make Kinky Bestie my life and my business. So that's just freeing up more time that I can, then create more and more free content for people to consume and to help with and to help them out with. So I also view it as like you're supplementing all the free content I create a bit too. So, all right, I think that's all the stuff with, so you would book that first call with me. It's right on my website. I use a scheduling, like an app scheduler. So it's very, like, it's not going to be an email back and forth with me. Like, you can totally email me if you have like a logistical question. I'm in Eastern Standard Time, so that's what my time zones are around, but you can probably find a time with me that works within your time zone. It might just be like, later in your evening or earlier in your morning or whatever, because I know we have I have a good bit of people in the UK actually who listen to me. But most of my audience is in North America, so that Eastern time zone works pretty well. So you'd have that first call. You're able to just book in, like you pick your time right as you schedule it. I open my schedule 2 weeks out at a time right now. So maybe that'll change in the future, but right now I just do 2 weeks out, and I don't let people schedule within 48 hours of my time usually, so that I can plan my life out a bit. So usually you would book in a call. The first times you'd have available would be a couple of days out. I now have an ASAP option where you can upgrade and for a little bit of a higher cost, book in with me quicker if you're like, more of an impulsive person and you just need to talk about something now, or maybe, you just have a time sensitive situation that you just want to talk to someone right away. So you can do that too. It just is at a higher cost because, I have to adjust my life accordingly to be able to do that too. So you'd book that first call. It's a video call, so I use Google Meets. So we would get on that. It's a little video call. You don't have to do video if you don't like. I do show up with videos that you can see me. I usually wear headphones because even though, I live alone and, no one's going to hear what we're talking about, I find that if I'm wearing headphones, like my mentees, you guys feel a little bit more comfortable knowing that like, okay, what you're saying to me is not even leaving, within a couple feet of me because I'm wearing earphones. So really I'm the only one able to hear what you're saying and what's going on. So yeah, we would have that video call together. What happens on that call is really, up to both of us a bit. So I can certainly lead the call in a way, but it also is going to depend on what you're showing up with and what you're wanting support on and to talk about. And after you have the first call, then if things are a good fit and we're liking each other, then I would email you or, text you, whatever preferred contact info. I would email you the link to actually book for my packages. And my packages right now, again, this might change, I sell packages of 4 calls or 12 calls. So like, you can view it as like a 1 month and like a 3-month package, but you don't have to do them for 1 month or 3 months. The calls from the day of you getting the package for the 4 call bundle, you have 6 months to use up those calls. So you can spread them out as you need. You just have to use them up within the next 6 months because again, like my prices might go up later, but like because you have that package and you've paid that rate, like that is the rate that you were locked into for the duration of the package. So, you can do those calls once a week. You could do them every other week. With that package, you can even do once a month. So that can be a good option if you're just someone who experiences those quick transformations from me, but then just needs to like touch back into that and get like a glimpse of that energy every once in a while to keep going on that path and at that pace. And then with my 12 call bundle, okay, so the 4 call bundle, it's a little bit discounted than my normal rate. It's like 10% off. And then my 12 call bundle, it's more like 15 or 20% off, I think. And those, again, like they don't expire within the 3 months. Like you have 8 months to use them up. So you can spread them out a bit as you need. And I will give you little reminders closer to that time if you have, unused sessions that we need to use up, and we'll find times to do that together that work for us. But you get a little bit of a higher discount with that. And usually what I do after you've had your first call with me, which is at that $150 rate, and then if I share the link to offer you those longer term packages, I offer a little extra bonus within like the first day or two of that first call, where you can actually get that cost of that first call, $150, off of a bundle of 12 calls actually. So you get a really freaking good deal on that. It basically makes your first call free because you are then getting it off. Okay. So that's what booking your call with me is. Oh, and then once you get the packages, it's the same thing where I just use that online scheduler so we don't have to do back and forth. You just schedule the time that you need. So with the packages, you get emailed a list of codes that you just then use in the scheduler to book your calls whenever you need. You can book them 2 weeks out at a time. Again, that might change, but right now, you can just book them out 2 weeks at a time. So if you want to do like 2 calls a week, you could, book your call and then you could, get your package and then just immediately schedule in those 2 calls a week that are 2 weeks out. Yeah, okay. So that's what it's actually like to book with me in that process. Some questions I get with that. Okay, so what kinks are okay? Like some people are worried that like I don't work with people who have certain kinks, and that's not true. Basically, as long as your kinks are legal, that's it. Like as long as you're a consenting adult and the things you want to do are legal, like, yeah, let's talk about them. I really want to hear about them. And I probably have a lot of those kinks in common with you because I've been in the community for a while and I've tried a lot of things with my ADHD dopaminer brain. So yes, we can talk about DDLG, we can talk about ABDL, we can talk about, more traditional BDSM stuff, bond, like whatever, we can talk about it. As far as confidentiality goes, I keep all your shit private. I never really talk about my clients. I know it's sometimes in the coaching industry, people say like, oh, well, I was working with this client last week who said X, Y, and Z. And I don't do that. Maybe one day I'll slip up and say something like that because, I don't know, I have an impulsive brain. But yeah, I never even will hint that this is something that I was working on with a client. It just will come up as a topic that I'll talk about. And obviously, like all your personal information, your name, your email address, whatever, like it stays here. It stays in the call. You're good. And I have more terms on that on my website, so you can read about that too. Cancellation policy. So check the terms on my website because again, this might change. But usually you can reschedule calls with me if the time that you picked doesn't work. I do have a time limit that I would like that to be in. Right now it's within 24 hours of booking. So like you can't an hour before your call say, hey, this isn't going to work. Can we do this next time? Because, I've had this hour of my time blocked out just to work with you where I couldn't have another client. So, that would be a no-show. But if you give me at least a day's notice right now, again, this might change, then we can reschedule your call, no problem, and get you a different time. The scheduler, people ask about that. We already talked about that. You use the online scheduler with the Eastern Standard Time. Oh, and for the ASAP function, like if you're wanting to book in a call quicker than that 2 days I usually require, it's a separate link. So there's the link for the mentorship call, which is the $150, and then the mentorship, I think it's called like mentorship ASAP call, is $200 right now. That might change. But you would click on that different link, and then that link lets you schedule it sooner right away. But yes, other questions that come up, if you email them to me, my email for this is emma@kinkybestie.com. Just email me your questions. I'll answer them, and I will add them to the FAQ page on my website for this booking too. So, yes, okay. Thank you, everybody, for asking your lovely questions and listening to this lovely call. And I hope to see you in a lovely mentorship session, too. I'll have all the links for the bookings so you can check out what that's about, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Thank you so much for joining me this episode.
You can follow the podcast on the platform where you're listening to get updates with new episodes. You can follow me on social media at Kinky Bestie. I'm on Instagram. You can also check the show notes for any links or resources that I talked about in this episode, or just more ways to connect with me. And please share this with your kinky friends who could benefit from this type of content. There is also an option for each podcast episode to engage with Q&As or polls. So I'd love to hear from you and create future episodes around what you want to chime in with. So please check those out in the show notes too. And I look forward to hearing from you. Bye.